And breaking this morning, 210,000 jobs added in November. That was the smallest monthly gain since December of last year. It was less than half of what was expected. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh joining me now. Secretary, it was a big miss. Does that disappoint you?
No, I mean, it doesn't necessarily disappoint me because I'm looking at the picture, the whole picture here, and you think about since President Biden has taken office, nearly 6 million jobs have been added. Our unemployment rate dropped to 4.2%. 2% lower than when he took office. So, you know, we still have a ways to go when we think about getting people back to work. But our recovery is happening, and it's happening in a strong manner. You talk to CEOs, you talk to people around the country. They feel good. Obviously, there's jobs that we have to really focus on and create better opportunities. I was out in California this week earlier, and I was at the ports of LA and Long Beach, and looking at the supply chain issues and really seeing, you know, what if the breakdowns are there. And one of the things we have to do is really train and prepare more truck drivers. I mean, one of the issues is trucking, and that's a big issue in our country. So we have to do some work.
By the way, are you in favor of lowering the age? A lot of people say, you know, people driving those huge trucks should not have a minimal amount of experience. But other people say we need truckers so bad, you got to lower the age to 18. What do you think of that?
Well, it's interesting because I think, if I'm correct, they told me the number is 25, and I think that you know, if there's an opportunity for us to drop that number down a little bit, I think we should explore it. That's what was told to me, and then 2 years driving experience. But I think one of the solutions we can look at it is creating opportunities of veterans returning from the service who have CDLs. They have Class A and Class B licenses. Looking at
great suggestion. Yes,
and we're working on that now at the Department of Labor, and there's some other ways we can look at it.
Well, let me talk about the flip side. Some people say that your policies, the Biden administration's policies, have augmented against bringing people back into the labor force. And, for example, the vaccine mandates. A lot of people question, by the way, we should mention the Omicron, the people we know who've been affected by Omicron so far were all fully vaccinated. So clearly they weren't helping to keep the virus under control because of their vaccine. So are you revisiting the vaccine mandates because of the fact that it may have a negative effect on employment in America?
Well, I think the intention behind vaccines are number one, to hopefully prevent people from getting the virus or any of the variants, and number two,
but it hasn't done it so far with Omicron.
But the second part is too, people aren't getting as sick. So that's what's happening.
Well, that's true. Absolutely, yeah.
So that's one piece. And then I think when you think about what we did at the Department of Labor with the emergency temporary standard, it wasn't a mandate. It was vaccine or testing. And we made it very clear here that any employer over 100 people, if somebody decided or chose not to get vaccinated or didn't want to get vaccinated, they would be tested on a weekly basis. And the reasoning behind this was to get people back into the workplace and people feeling safe coming back in. Because I do feel one of the reasons why we don't have more people working is people are concerned about their own health and maybe their family's health. So, you know, those are the intentions behind what we did.
But you're losing in the courts, sir. You lost three important cases this week. I believe one was in Louisiana. I can't remember the other state. But you're losing in the courts. Does that stop you cold, or are you continuing on moving these OSHA regulations forward?
Well, the court case, we'll decide that as we move forward. I think there's a hearing in a couple of weeks, so we'll find out what the hearing is. But at the end of the day, when I'm on TV, I'm still going to recommend to people and pushing, you know, vaccines and also the booster shots. And if you choose not to get the vaccine or the booster, asking people to please, you know, watch out for your personal health, wear the mask, you know, do all the things. We want to make sure people are safe. We've lost, you know, nearly 800,000 Americans to this virus.
Yep.
We're not sure what the Omicron virus is going to, the extent of that yet is. You know, the president addressed that, Dr. Fauci addressed that, so we're kind of hopefully looking ahead, we'll be in a good place.
Well, thank God we have the vaccines. We have some great therapeutics coming online. We're in a better shape than we've ever been to face the pandemic. Let me just ask quickly about inflation and the role of labor with regard to inflation. I mean, the fewer workers you have, and we have, what, 2.4 million unfilled jobs in America right now.
Yeah.
The fewer people you have working, the fewer goods and services you have in our economy, and that means greater inflation. Talk about the role between labor and inflation.
Well, I think the president laid out a plan, and we're focused on the inflation number. He released some oil reserves the other day. He talked about that, gave a speech to the country on that.
But specifically on labor, your purview, is there a direct link between those millions of unfilled jobs and inflation?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think obviously there's an impact there. I'm not sure exactly to what extent it is. I also think it's the times that we're in today. We're seeing numbers go up, but we're also seeing wages go up. Obviously, in some cases, not going up with the cost of inflation. Lower wage workers historically in the past, their wages are going up faster than inflation. That's a good thing. I think that we just have to continue to push our economic policies here and as we move forward here over the next few months.
Have you been given any marching orders about inflation and getting more people into the workforce in order to attack inflation? Because clearly the administration is beginning to recognize how important it is to Americans. It's the #1 economic concern of Americans right now.
No, there's no question about it. And listen, I haven't been given marching orders, but I've been working with Secretary Yellen, Janet Yellen, Treasury, on this issue, and certainly my marching orders are to get people back to work, get people trained up, and get people back into jobs. And the president's focus is getting people the opportunity to get into good-paying jobs, into the middle class, and that's what I've been focused on here at the Department of Labor.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in today. Best of luck to you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh.